Good morning, Instagram and Facebook. Tuesday, Tuesday Thoughts by me, Lisa Meta of Metamorfize.com. I'm just here sharing perspectives. I love hearing perspectives. I think life is all about perspectives. And, you know, if you don't, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so much of my life has always been about hearing things differently so I can see things differently. So that's all I'm here to do is share my perspective, what's worked for me, because one of the things that I feel like I have moved through in my life is navigating my mind from a very obsessive thinking, looping, addictive mindset. So I just share with you here on Tuesday Thoughts all the little like nuggets, just one word at a time or one concept at a time that might be helpful if you are someone who feels stuck in any sort of negative thinking, if you are stuck with like some cycles of like starting things and stopping things, never following through, and then wondering, why, good morning, Tony, or what's the point, or, if you're here joining me, just drop me a wave or an icon, say good morning. These are Tuesday Thoughts. So every Tuesday, I'm going to be just talking and love to hear any thoughts you might have. And then I'll be pulling a tarot card. So if you're joining me today, what up? What up? Today we are going to be talking about simulate it. So simulate it is a really, really powerful tool and technique I've used many, many years now for manifesting what I want. So I'm going to be talking about simulation. Hi, Pat. Welcome. I love that you're here. Good morning. Good morning. So, yeah, say hi to me. Drop me an icon. I can interact with you a little bit more if I know who's here. Simulation. Okay, so simulation is a tool, a technique kind of that I use. I call it kind of the bridge from going from the wanting to the experiencing. So I remember a while ago while I was like getting into this coaching world, I would hear, I heard this idea of like wanting creates more wanting, like this idea that our thoughts are creating our reality around us. So if you are like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, it's just perpetuating more wanting. And more wanting actually is like a little trap that keeps us stuck in this idea that we may never have the thing that we desire. So simulation is one of the ways that it's like a bridge to get you from the wanting to the experiencing. So I'm going to dive into this a little bit more here. And I would love to hear if you are joining me and you have any thoughts on simulation as I go on here, like what you think about it. So I was going to read you a little poem that I wrote for the Next Level Manifestors page. I don't know if it's a poem, but basically it's about the pivot. Simulation is the pivot. And it says, I wrote, start somewhere, start small, slow and steady, step by step, moment to moment, day by day, it all adds up. Simulate it to create it. I am the creator of my life. Okay, so if you are one of these people like me who really want to be responsible for what's being created in your life and in my life, then simulation is a great way for you to begin to take small steps towards having the thing that you want. So simulation can show up in many different ways. So one of super simple and very powerful way is to already talk about the thing that you want as if it's already happened, the whole like as if thing. And I'm not saying that one of these by itself is going to miraculously manifest the thing you want, but sometimes when you put them all together, you can actually create a really beautiful energetic momentum behind something, and lo and behold, you might find yourself having the thing that you want. And I want to also kind of emphasize time. There was another week I talked about universal lag time. And that's because sometimes we don't realize that the simulation process takes a bit of time to actually come into full fruition. So, okay, talking about it. So let's take the example of the fact that I love traveling, and traveling is something that I actively like want to create more of before COVID happened in my life. So a lot of what I would do is I would talk about trips happening as if I was going, even though I didn't have any plans yet, or I had no idea when or how I was going to get there. If funds were low, I wouldn't let any of the how ever take me away from just simulating it. Simulating it meaning like if I'd go out anywhere and I'd start talking to people, I would just say, you know what? They're like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. I'm planning a trip to Mexico, or I'm going to Mexico. Whether I was going or not, I would act as if I was going. So that's a small simulation. And by the way, I did that for a good few years on the Mexico tip, and I am leaving for Mexico on January 4th. So the simulation works. I will say this. I did drive someone crazy recently because I noticed that I was doing a lot of it outside, like in outside voice. To a friend of mine, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to Puerto Rico, I'm going to Mexico, I'm going to Florida. And he was like, what is going on? Like, you sound like you're all over the place. And I realized that I had to actually tell him that this is my way of manifesting. Like, this is speaking it into existence for me. So just like maybe a side note in case you need to tell people around you that that's one of the things that you're doing. Okay. Then another thing is like for the travel one, I would go and intentionally meet people at, let's say, hotel lobbies where travelers hang out, or I would go to eat at Mexican restaurants, let's say if I wanted to go to Mexico, and start to simulate that I am eating Mexican food. So I'm like infusing my mind and what I'm calling a body memory into my system. So it's as if like I'm in Mexico having a Mexican meal, but we know I'm not, but I'm simulating. Plus, you never know who you're going to meet. So the more you talk about it and the more you begin simulating it, okay, there's other ones you can do. Like, let's say you want a material item like a nice luxury bag, a Chanel bag, or you want a new pair of sneakers, not luxury, but just you just want a new pair of sneakers. So, but you feel limitations with your funds. Okay, well, you know what? That's okay. Sometimes that happens. However, you can also simulate it by going into the store and trying it on. Try the shoes on. You can still walk yourself into Bergdorf's and put that Chanel bag on and simulate it, because you know what? That's you having it. That's a moment of you out of the wanting and in the experiencing. When you're experiencing something, it creates a feeling. The feeling is actually what we want to begin to magnify and build momentum on behind it to create more of the things that you want in your life. Because remember, in the beginning, I was saying wanting is only going to create more wanting. So how can we get our bodies in the experiencing of something to then build on that, even if it's just 5 minutes a day of something, like taking this to a different realm. Like, let's say you want to live in your optimal, most vitality and the healthy living, right? I don't know about you, but I've personally had a lot of challenges and resistance around working out on a consistent basis. So I had to figure out a model for me to begin small and how to magnify and build momentum behind it. So I've created something I'm calling the 5 minute a day method. So simulating, let's say, working out for 5 minutes a day. That's it, 5 minutes. And it's not actually about like the workout, like, oh, look, you're going to get super strong in 5 minutes, because we know that that's not going to happen. However, you are going to get strong mentally because you're going to create the muscle of discipline. You're going to get strong in confidence, which then exudes a certain kind of energy. And then you're going to begin the training of 5 minute simulation turning into possibly 10 or 15 or 20. And then the practice of working out becomes 30-minute practice, but you started by simulation of just something very, 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 very small. Because it's my experience that we in this world culturally are trained to kind of have this like go big or go home mentality, which it's, yes, go big or go home is great, except when it comes to like the practicality of how do we actually show up. So the magic is in the showing up. The magic is actually showing up for 5 minutes a day versus not showing up for 30 minutes. Okay, so simulation can be really great for creating powerful habits. Like it's the force behind then having healthy habits in your life. And as I mentioned, you start to have a body memory. So you're in the experiencing of something with then generates a feeling, and the feeling is what is really, really powerful. Hey, Michelle. I'm just checking out. I just looked over and I saw all of you beautiful people over here. We're getting manifest action hacks. Okay, Pat, your blog today is why had to have bigger than the how. Why has to be bigger than the how. This is amazing. Yes, yes. The why. That's a big, that's a big concept that there's many books about that. In fact, I read one, Knowing Your Why. And I think it's like, sometimes I didn't really know my why, but it was more important about not getting hung up on the how. That's for sure. But with that said, the how is linked to the simulation, because like you can just begin to start slowly simulating different hows, like try this and try that and try this. And I really believe that it's about gathering information and trying different things and heading towards your why, which is, I guess, like the point on the GPS where you put in, and then taking different routes there is a little bit about, how to gather information, how to then keep adjusting along the way, which is why the 5 minutes is so, so, so important, because 5 minutes will get you trying things, will get you showing up, will build the confidence muscle. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's the real talk, is what I'm trying to say, is like, you can't go from, let's say, sitting on the couch for months and months and months, or even years, eating what you eat or not moving, and then all of a sudden decide to like have this like crazy workout plan that then really is just setting you up for failure, not success. I did that for so many years. And so much of the work that I do, in fact, all of the work that I do is about helping you, because I needed to help myself set you up for success, not failure. Because that pattern of like trying and doing great and then succeeding, but then failing over and over again, it really took a toll on me. It caused a lot of internal dialogue that had me really at like the what's the point, and I had a defeatist mentality. So simulation became a very powerful tool for me. And actually, if you want more about this, you can go to manifestinghacks.com, where I break down a 3-part manifesting hack, and simulation is the third one in that series. So it's manifestinghacks.com, because it can really help you. Also, in that series, I teach you how to honor something from the past by really adding like a few words to sentences, because your words matter, and then pivoting into certainty, and then really getting into a simulation, which pulls you into your future self, which pulls you into the experiencing. So speaking of honoring, tonight I'm doing, tonight, December 1st, 7 o'clock Eastern time, I'm doing the last breakthrough breath of 2020. And I know everyone's been saying to me, we need to like get on the other side of this year and all of that. And I, on some level I agree with that. And I'm going to slow us down a little and we're going to seal in 2020, because there's always nuggets. There's always lessons that we can take from everything. And I don't know if it's about, out with like bad 2020. Like, yeah, a lot of things did happen this year, but it's a really good training for all of us to take inventory of what worked. What do we want to create for 2021? So that's happening tonight. All right. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to talk about with simulation. And if I'd love to hear, how do you simulate in your life? Is there something that you can do right now where you can, like, if you have a big goal, is there something really small that you can start to bring into your life as an experience and begin to leave the wanting and be in the experiencing? You've got to start somewhere. And I see it so many times over and over and over and over and over again with the clients that I work with. And straight up myself, starting is the hardest part. And then once we start, we realize it wasn't that hard. What is it? It's like the moment in nature where something has to push through to become. It's the same thing. And I was like, had aware of time this morning. And if I don't work out at 8:30, I miss a certain window. And it was like 8:35, 8:40. And I remember being like, pop up and be like, let's go, come on. And it was just that push of energy that I had to get through. And then, of course, like feeling amazing on the other side. As we do when we do the thing that we say we're going to do. So not only do I feel amazing because I kept my word to myself, my body feels amazing. And I am a strong believer that keeping your word to yourself is like far superior as a feeling and as a something to like really magnify in one's life, and than any, like, keeping your word to yourself is the most important thing that I think we can do. And we are so good at keeping our word to everybody else, right? I mean, everybody. We pride ourselves. I used to pride myself on how reliable I was for everybody. Meanwhile, I was like letting myself down over and over, not really even realizing the consequences of that. So simulation, and for those of you listening who are in my 30 Days to Change program, 5 minutes a day simulation is so powerful. Pat, I just heard you wrote back to me saying like things are moving and the power of showing up and everything. So yeah. So I think I covered everything. I'm going to pick a card. God, time passes so quickly when I'm talking. All right, let's see what we're going to get with simulation. And for those of you who might be interested in my 30 Days to Change program, the next round starts January 10th. We are going to kick off the new year really, really strong for those of you who are ready to get out of the wanting and into the experiencing. And, finally letting yourself have the thing you want. Sometimes we play this little game with ourselves where we actually have to be like, I will allow myself to be successful. I am ready to stop fearing failure and then stop fearing my own power and actually be happy. We hold ourselves from being happy. So instead of thinking it has to be a big valve, a floodgate of happy, like you go from not happy to happy, do it in simulation in 5-minute increments a day. And it won't feel like such a huge leap. It'll feel like a natural growth, an organic way from going from, what you wanted to having it. All right, here we go. Simulation. Okay, this is the Osho deck. I do readings if you want a virtual reading. And today I'm just going to pick a card in the lens of simulation and what wisdom. Courage. Straight up courage. I love this one so much. I love it for simulation because it takes courage to start, like we were just saying, but also the idea of pushing through like this beautiful flower has done in the face of challenges. No matter what, you stay the course, or at least you don't always have to stay the course actually, but you stay with an all-in attitude behind it, and then you adjust to get through. This beautiful flower had to come through, look, rocks. It had to find its way. And you know what it does? It follows the light. That's the only thing it knows how to do, is go up towards light. And that is what I want you to experience, because the experience is following the light. The wanting is staying in the dark. That's the secret sauce. Wanting circles you in the dark. You get just wanting, wanting, looping, wanting, wanting. Follow the light up. That's the experience. All you want is up here in the world. And if it feels too big sometimes, just take it slow. Do 5 minutes of something a day. If you need support figuring out what that is what my 30 Days to Change program will help you do. And yeah, happy simulating, everybody, and have a great week. I will see you around the interweb. And stay tuned for next week's themes and whatnot. All right. One love, everybody. Happy simulating. I will see you soon. Thank you, Pat and Michelle, for being here. Hey, Berna. Oh, you love that card. Yay. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye. See you tonight.